Welcome to the class entitled Calculating Oil and Gas Interests. Over the course of this class, you're going to learn how to calculate a lot of different types of interests and in many different types of scenarios. This is a great class, and for those of you that are wanting to broaden and enhance your skills as far as knowledge base and in calculations, this is the class for you. In this particular video segment, we're really just going to define some terms. We're not going to define all types of terms, but some of the basic terms related to interest that we're going to calculate. If you look at the picture, it shows a tract of land, surface-wise and subsurface-wise. In most cases in the United States, the people that own the surface don't necessarily own the subsurface mineral rights. In many cases, that's not true, and they own everything. But at least in my career, most of the tracts of land that I've dealt with, the people that own the subsurface mineral rights are different than the person that owns the surface. So let's say that an oil and gas company is interested in trying to explore for oil and gas in that particular tract of land. The only way that they can do that is to deal with the subsurface mineral owner in what's called an oil and gas lease. The oil company at that point gets involved. They negotiate an oil and gas lease with the mineral owner. And for most states in the United States, what that creates is a type of conveyance whereby that subsurface mineral owner has conveyed certain rights to the oil and gas company. In that conveyance to the oil company, it creates an interest that didn't exist before, and that's called the gross working interest. That's an interest that's owned by the oil and gas company, and if they choose to drill a well, the costs associated with drilling that well are going to be tied directly to that gross working interest owned by the oil and gas company. So in this case, let's say that the oil and gas company chooses to drill a well, which they do. As a matter of fact, in drilling the well, they find that they're successful. And in this particular case, there's production coming up whole in that well. You see it rising there, and that's the production. I want you to look at the top of that rig because it represents something that the oil company wanted and that the mineral owner wanted. They wanted production. The real question is, who shares in what fractional portion of production that comes from the productive well? The answer to that, we really need to look back at the oil and gas lease, because the oil and gas lease is going to create a type of owner which is called a royalty owner, and that subsurface mineral owner now owns a fractional piece of the production that comes from the well. They're going to get a piece of the production pie, but the oil company is going to get a piece of production, and that's in the form of what they call the net revenue interest. Now we're going to take this just a step further because it can become just a little more complicated in that royalty owner who owns a piece of the production pie can in fact convey or deed a portion of their royalty to someone else. When that happens, we have another owner that's involved. They're not called a royalty owner because they don't own any minerals, but they're called a non-participating royalty, and that's royalty that should have come to the mineral owner, but instead it's going through the mineral owner's ownership to the non-participating royalty owner. On the other hand, on the other side of that well, the oil company can create a different type of interest, and they can convey or assign a piece of their share of production to an owner, and in that case, we might call that owner an overriding royalty interest owner, or an ORRI. Generally, that override is a small piece of production, and that non-participating royalty generally is a small piece of production as well.